What exactly is it that you do, Mr. Bond, in your profession? I help people with problems. Ah, you're a problem solver. I'm more of a problem eliminator. Watch the birdie, you bastard! Oh! Where could he have been? It's been hours. Oh, I'm sure he'll come back. 007 always gets himself into some kind of trouble. Come in. Hello. I came to tell you that Franz is on to James. But don't worry, he's okay. Last night he stayed with me. 007. What? I'm sorry, but I just love James so much. You fucking... James! James! Oh! James? 007. Pum. What are you doing? James! You slept with her last night! You're such a prick! That was a damn stupid thing to do! James, please, I'm sorry! I didn't mean to kill her! I take it the problem has been solved, 007. Hello everyone and welcome to my review of License to Kill. Sorry, I could not resist. I gotta stop singing the songs. So yeah, this is the, I believe the 16th James Bond film, and the second and final Bond film to star Timothy Dalton as James Bond. So, let's press on. So basically, James Bond attends, the plot is James Bond attends Felix Leiter's and his wife's wedding, and but before that they put down drug lord Franz Sanchez, they get him arrested. Then Sanchez kills Della, who is Felix's wife, and Felix's leg gets bitten off by a shark. then Bond goes rogue on this personal vendetta to seek vengeance for his friend's death and uncover the drug smuggling plot of Fran Sanchez. That is pretty much the basic gist of License to Kill. When I explain the plots, I don't go in depth, just to let you know. So yeah, License to Kill. This is the second and unfortunately final Bond film to star Timothy Dalton. Because after this movie, there was a bit of a hiatus with Bond. But yeah, no, License to Kill. Let's put it into context. I think it's fair to say that this is probably the most different of all of the Bond movies. It tries to be really different. Okay. The story, I mean, the story's different. I don't mind the story. The story's okay. A bit basic, you know, with the whole drug smuggling plot and then the personal vendetta. You know, they do try to be different, and I admire that. I admire the fact that License to Kill tries to be different. They try to go in a different direction with the storyline, and I think, you know, the story it's all right. You know, it's passable. You can tell how much it affects Timothy Dalton. And yeah, the plot's alright. The acting, Timothy Dalton is on fire. Timothy Dalton is fantastic in this movie. He really is. He really lets rip on his Bond. His Bond completely changes. Like in the previous film, The Living Daylights, he had a few moments where he was actually quite charming. And, you know, and he had some of those scenes with Cara, but in here it's just full frontal. He's gone, you know, full, you know, all-out rage, aggression, pretty much everything. He's giving it everything, and you can really give the guy credit. I mean, he's so underrated as Bond. He is the precursor to Craig. Although, to me, this does feel more of a Daniel Craig film, aside a few bits. I do have a lot of issues, though, with License to Kill, I'm not going to lie. I do think that it's heavily flawed. Watching it just now, I've actually realised how heavily flawed it really is. Firstly, the tone of the movie is just all over the place. I don't really think John Glenn had any kind of idea what he was going to do with this film. He just sort of let it happen. Just let it happen. Yeah. This movie is insanely dark and gritty. I don't mind a bit of darkness. I mean, The Living Daylights had its perks. You know, it was quite serious, but it wasn't full frontal dark. You know, there were dark moments from Dalton when there were some quite serious moments, but here it's just always throwing it at your face, like we're taking things in a darker direction, more serious, more gritty. It's not a kids' film. Oh no, they're taking things in a much different direction, and it's a different kind of Bond movie, which I can appreciate, but it just doesn't work, because I don't think, you know, with The Living Daylights, I was so happy. I was like, we got this, we've got it, we've updated Bond. This is fine. It was the beginning of the modern era of Bond. I mean, after 12 years of Roger Moore, I think it was needed. I mean, Roger Moore had some serious moments, but I think for the modern day and age, Dalton was perfect in that film, and that film had balanced it right. License to Kill, it's just like, oh yeah, well, people like the seriousness in the previous film. Why don't we just give them some more? Let's keep throwing more in. It's just like, oh come on, like, you don't have to be so overt with it. Just, you know, stick to what you had in The Living Daylights. Stick to that tone that you established there, because that was brilliant. That was a great tone, and it was just a classic spy thriller. I know this movie's trying to be different. I mean, it's almost like it's trying to be two different things. It's almost like, you know, it's like it's trying to be so many different things, you know. And the movie is weird. Like, there's just so many, like, you know, weird moments. Like, my biggest issue with this movie is the fact that they butchered the tone from The Living Daylights. You know, The Living Daylights did establish the serious tone. License to Kill goes too far. It's just like, you know, John Glenn's just like, oh, let's just go the whole Monty. Let's just, you know, the full Monty. Let's just go as far as we can within the boundaries. This movie's a 15. This is the first Bond movie to be a 15. I don't think we were ready for this. You know, this movie was a box office flop. And I can understand that now, because, let's be honest, Bond had already just been updated in the previous film, like for the new modern age, but it was just like, we don't need it. You don't need to update Bond again. We've just had The Living Daylights 2 years ago. You don't need to go further with this. You can just stick to what you had and build upon that. Don't just like go all out there with the tone. Like the tone is way too dark. It is way too dark and way too gritty. They have they've gone over the top with it all. The tone is messy, really messy, and it's really disappointing, to be honest, because I thought John Glenn was really getting somewhere, and it's just like, it really annoys me. It's like, for God's sake, come on, there's so much potential that this movie had. This movie had the potential. It was like, you had Bond serious in the previous one. You don't need to make it gritty. We weren't ready for gritty Bond yet. Wait till Casino Royale for that. Wait till Casino Royale to then update the gritty Bond because of, you know, the Brosnan films. You don't need to be this. You don't need to be like this with License to Kill. The tone is all over the place, and they try to add some emotional context into the movie by, when Della dies, and I guess from Bond's perspective, it is quite emotional when Sharky and Della do die, but it doesn't come across. It doesn't grab you in the way that, like some of the scenes in View to a Kill did. Like, they really took their time with the emotions. And The Living Daylights had some emotional scenes as well, like with Bond and Cara. But License to Kill, you can't feel the emotions. You cannot feel the emotions. They don't spend enough time developing the emotions. It's just like, let's just develop the story. They try and develop a story, which is fair enough, but it almost feels like there's no character development for anybody except Bond. I mean, Dalton's fantastic, as always, but I feel sorry for the other cast. Other characters, though. I mean, other characters... one of the best things about this movie is indeed the Bond girls. Well, one of them. Pam Bouvier, played by Carrie Lowell. She is fantastic. She's really cool. I like her. She's headstrong, stubborn, she's direct, she's straight to the point. She's got, she knows who she is. She's like... I just saved your life back there. It's like, I will not have you lecture me about professionalism. But I love the way she approaches Bond, and she's like, she's not going to take any of his crap. She's like, there's more to this than your personal vendetta. I love it when she says that, because it's just like, Dalton finally realises, she's right. I've got too wound up in all this. I've got too emotional. You really see Dalton deal with the emotional side of Bond, even though it's, the emotions in this movie aren't as poignant as some of the other films, but Carrie Lowell as Pam Bouvier is great, and her chemistry with Dalton is pretty good. I mean, they have good chemistry. I don't think she's as good as Cara from The Living Daylights, but she's cool nonetheless. She's cool, and she does kick ass in the action sequences. The other Bond girl, Talisa Soto is Loopy. Great to look at. She looks great. She's very good looking, but. She's just not that good an actress, to be honest. I mean, her performance is very wooden. I don't get it, to be honest. Like, that scene when she goes into, she comes in and scene with her, Q, and Pam, and then she's like, I just love James so much. I'm like, well, I'm really feeling the vibe. I'm really getting the sense that you actually love this man. Oh, head over heels. I mean, oh, come on. Like, seriously, give it some oomph. Oh, it's almost like this movie is very depressing. It's just so, like, because of the tone, it's just so dark, and it's almost like that Talisa Soto almost gives kind of a depressed performance. I know the character's been abused by Sanchez, which, yeah, that scene at the beginning when he's whipping her, I don't quite know why that was in a Bond film, but it's too late now to re-edit it. But yeah, no, she doesn't really do much. She's just there to be eye candy, but. She's okay, but she's not. To look at, she's pretty good, but her acting is terrible. So, yeah, she's not really that good, to be honest. The villain, Franz Sanchez, played by Robert Davi. He's okay. He's not great. I don't think he really comes across as being a villainous presence. I believe he has a couple of scenes where you actually realise this guy's a prick. But that's really all you see him as. He's just this prick. You don't see him as a really villainous guy. Most of the stuff that he does, like the scene with Milton Crest when he's like, if you want it so badly, then take it. Like when he kills Milton Crest, and then when he's whipping Loopy. Apart from that, I didn't get the sense that he really was a villain. He was just sort of there, and he was just this guy who was head of this organisation. It's not so much Robert Davi's performance. Robert Davi was solid. It was just the character. I just didn't get the vibe that he was really a great villain, to be honest. I mean, he's better than the previous couple of villains from the previous film, but he's not that good, to be honest. Dario, played by young Benicio del Toro, he's a good henchman. He's pretty cool. The other villains, like Hela and all that, they're all like okay. They're just okay. They're not great. I mean, License to Kill is just an okay movie. I don't have much else to say. It's just an okay movie. Production design is quite good. But yeah, no, the movie does not know what it wants to be. It's either, it's gritty revenge tale, but it doesn't quite know what it wants to be. It's because of there's so many weird scenes in this movie, like, fucking ninjas. Like, why? I agree with Calvin Dyson. Why the hell are the ninjas in the movie? What? That section of the movie, what is that actually? Does that actually need to be there? If I were the editor, I would have taken that bit out. Like, when Dalton says, "Oh, watch the birdie, you bastard," and then the ninjas come and attack him. Like, it seems pointless. Absolutely pointless. It's just bizarre. And, well, they have no purpose in the movie, so get rid of them. They're just, when you see them, you go, why? Like, I'm just sitting there thinking, is this a James Bond film? Because I'm not really feeling the vibe. Oh my gosh. And the moment when Dalton wakes up and then looks at that fish, I'm like, oh, for God's sake. And the ending is even worse. When the camera moves along, and then the fish winks at the audience before it goes, and then they play that stupid bloody song, "If you ask me to, I won't just change my mind." Oh my God, come on, John Glenn, what happened? Oh, but nevertheless, there are scenes that I like. I like the action sequences. The movie is too violent, very violent, and I don't think that it needs all the action that it has. I think certain action scenes I'd keep, like the bar fight, that was awesome. The opening action sequence, I guess they'd have to keep that. That'd be great. The tanker chase is awesome. The tanker chase is epic. Great climax to the movie, and yeah. Get rid of the ninjas, all that stuff. Get rid of that stupid fight. There's so much action that could be lost. It's just too much action, and as a result, it kind of drags out the movie. I mean, there are no two ways about it. License to Kill is way too long. It is, 2 hours 13 minutes, way too long. I think you could have at least lost 20 minutes from it, or at least 10 minutes. Like, come on, like, seriously, it does drag a little bit. There's some good scenes also where Dalton interrogates Pam. That's really cool. Dalton's good with interrogating people. The music is okay. There's that variation of the Bond theme where it's a slower one, when it goes da 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 da, and it goes slower, and the underwater, sort of, the plane underwater fight thing, that was cool. They could keep that, but it's overloaded. This movie's overloaded and bloated, and the tone is all wrong, and the action, it's just too much of it, and I just don't quite. I just think the Bond had lost its mojo. John Glenn overstayed his welcome. I'm sorry, but he did. I like John Glenn's direction, but it really differentiates between the 5 films that he made. I think he should have just directed View to a Kill, Octopussy, View to a Kill, then The Living Daylights. That should have been his Bond sort of trio that he made. I think he stayed too long. I think For Your Eyes Only could have been directed by Lewis Gilbert, probably, if he was around. And License to Kill should have been directed by someone else, because this is just nonsense. It's not terrible. It's an enjoyable film, but it's not an enjoyable Bond film, if you know what I mean. I like it as a film, but as a Bond film, I just really can't see it as a Bond film. I admire it for trying to be different. That in itself does have a lot of plausibility to it, but it's structurally and tonally, it's all wrong. I'm sorry, but it's all wrong. It's disappointing. Although, on the plus side, Desmond Llewellyn gets to do more as Q. He gets involved in the action a bit more. He helps out with Bond and Pam. That's great. Timothy Dalton's fantastic. All the actors are great. Like, I love watching the actors perform. Like, it's great. David Hedison returns as Felix Leiter. He's good. As in, if you didn't know, he's the guy from Live and Let Die. He's pretty good. I like that. He's cool. But in the end, License to Kill is very mediocre. It's not one that I really want to rush back to, but I feel sorry for Timothy Dalton to have to go out like this, but yeah, it is badly directed. I'm sorry, but John Glenn really lost it here. I don't know what happened with John Glenn, but he really lost it. He directed 3 great Bond movies. Like, I like Octopussy. It's a fun film. It's not one that I'd rush back to. I like Octopussy. View to a Kill, I really enjoy that, and I think that is definitely a great film. Living Daylights is my favourite Bond movie of the 80s, and it's the best Timothy Dalton one, easily. I think that's very clear to see. I can understand why the Dalton fans praise this, but as a Dalton fan, I feel disappointed with this movie. I thought they were really getting somewhere. But no. I mean, the action's done well, but there's just too much of it. Oh, one final thing. The song by Gladys Knight, License to Kill, great song. Love it. Fantastic song. Really fits well. And the title sequence is good too. I like that, how it goes in from the camera at the wedding to then the title sequence. That's cool. I really like that. That's really good. The title sequence is good. And the song doesn't really fit with the gritty revenge tale, but it fits with the title sequence, and nonetheless, I like it, when it's like, you got a license to kill, and I'm going straight for your heart, got a license to kill, when it goes, da, 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 da. Excellent. Well done, Gladys Knight. Might actually be one of my favourite Bond songs. As for the movie, it's alright. I mean, it's not a complete flop, but after this, there was a 6-year hiatus for Bond, and then we returned with Pierce Brosnan. But no, I loved Timothy Dalton as Bond, and I wanted to thank him for his era. His era of Bond, be it immensely short, was fantastic to watch. Even License to Kill was good to watch, because I would have loved to have seen Dalton grow more into the role, but I think for what he had to do, he did really well. And I love The Living Daylights, and I think License to Kill's alright. Bit of a mixed bag for the Dalton era, but I just wanted to say, Timothy Dalton, thank you very much for being Bond, James Bond. Yeah, the guy deserves more credit than he gets. Credit where it's due. Timothy Dalton, fantastic. My 3rd favourite actor to play Bond. I wish he could have stayed for longer, but that's life. So yeah, to cap this one off, I'm going to rate License to Kill. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. I'm gonna have to probably re-rank the Bond movies. I just, my opinions are changing quite a lot recently. I should have waited until I did the reviews before then doing the ranking. But, License to Kill is better than some Bond films, but I think a 6 is really all I can give it. I'm sorry, it's heavily flawed. Michael Carmen doing the music is okay. The gun barrel's very over-dramatic, when it's like, bum dum. And then Dalton goes, and it goes, I miss John Barry, but hey ho. So yeah, that's it for the Timothy Dalton reviews. The 2 of them, they're done. Yeah, so tune in next time when I begin my reviews of the Pierce Brosnan films, when I review GoldenEye. Oh. So yeah. I will catch you guys later. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'm Mr. Talis11. See ya.